Hello, friends. Deborah McIntyre here. And today I'm going to talk to you about a really serious threat that's coming along the lines to your health, especially if you have to be happen to be a little bit sensitive. So I'm going to share this out on my own timeline while I talk to you. What I'm talking about is the new wireless strength called 5G. And 5G, there we go. Now it's shared out. Um, 5G means fifth generation. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Bonnie. Glad you could be here. So 5G means fifth generation. It's the fifth iteration of the Wi-Fi technology that's used to run all wireless things, run our cell phones, etc. And of course, each time the strength gets stronger, our bodies get a little bit more impacted by it. But 5G is going to be a little bit different. It's changing a lot. And so I know some of you guys are in a time crunch and can't stay for the whole thing. So I'm going to give you like the down and dirty first. But also, hey, Martin, hey, thanks for the love, guys. But anyway, so what is different about 5G is the actual frequency. 4G, 3G, 2G, and we started with 1G. You guys remember that when we had the wire plugged into our computer and it took forever to hook up to the internet. With smartphone technology, that's where it first really started escalating to bring us faster and faster speeds, stream videos, share pictures, things like that. And of course, there's a lot that's wonderful about it, and certainly I'm enjoying streaming to you today. But let me tell you what's different about 5G. So the wavelength of 5G is going to be much, much tinier. A lot of people are sensitive even with the speeds that have been around for the last couple of decades, but with 5G, it's going to impinge more on everyone. You see, our skin provides a bit of barrier to the 3G, 4G, those kinds of frequencies, because the wave is a little bit bigger. And so when that wave tries to penetrate our skin, there's some level of resistance there actually by our skin. But 5G is a tiny, tiny wave. And so our skin is not going to be able to shield us from it. And then additionally, yeah, Chelsea says she's super sensitive. You know, me too. And so it's even more important to protect yourself. Hey, Michelle, glad you could be here. I miss you guys here in Atlanta. So we're talking about 5G internet technology, 5G wireless that's coming down the pike. And I was just explaining that there's two reasons why it's particularly harmful. One is that the frequency, the size of the wave is going to be very, very tiny. And so in the previous strengths, our skin was some type of barrier. You know, the wave was too big to easily pass through our skin. It can still affect you in other ways, so don't get me wrong. But at least there was some sort of barrier trying to happen. And with the 5G, the wave is so tiny, it penetrates right into our skin. Our skin is like a sponge that's going to absorb that energy. And then you add to that the fact that, you know, we have sweat glands. Our sweat is a little bit salty. You know, salt water carries energy. So we have, you know, like a little moisture to our skin. And that is going to make that energy just reverberate in our bodies 24/7. Now, 5G is coming about because, well, a lot of reasons. And depending on who you listen to, you know, some of those are like conspiratorial, but let's just talk, you know, the basics. We've got the Internet of Things that we have now, right? You've got smart dishwashers, smart refrigerators, smart meters for your house. You've got smart thermostats. Well, all of these things need more and more wireless access. And so the more people use them, the more companies need to increase, you know, the density. The second thing that's so bad about 5G, in addition to the wavelength being so small, is that, you guys, this just flips me out. They're going to have to put many cell towers everywhere through neighborhoods. Every 2 to 8 houses is going to be a mini cell tower. They're going to put them on street lamps. They're going to put them on utility poles. They're going to put them on the sides and tops of public buildings. I mean, you already see a lot of this with our regular cell towers, but the regular cell towers are too big and too spaced out. They can't deliver the 5G effectively. I know, that is a shocker. I wish I could do my little, you know, shocked face as well, because it's crazy. If you can imagine, like, already all your neighbors have Wi-Fi. Already you can't escape it. Just think now we're going to magnify that with all these mini cell towers everywhere. So what can you do about it? You know, I'm always about, you know, helping to protect you. Now, Joanne says she's so glad she got rid of her smart meter. Yes. And that is a very good thing, because those smart appliances ping energy every so often. And you guys, so I'm talking about the health. I'm all about the health impacts of these things. But there are other impacts as well. When you think about it, okay, look at how much we're tracked today anyway. You can search for something on the internet on your computer, and then the next time you pull up your cell phone to look at something, there's ads for that very thing you've been looking for, right? We're tracked all the time. Our location can be tracked through our cell phone. You can turn some of those features off, but with 5G, you're not. It's pinging everywhere. You know, every building you go into, every cash register you deal with, every office, you know, every transaction you make, these things are all going to be, you know, available to who knows who farms out this data and gathers this data. It's not clear to me from everything I've read what kinds of restrictions are going to be made on this. So there's the privacy, you know, aspect of it. And then the other side of it, which really people were sounding the alarms with smart meters on this, and that is, you know, cyber attacks. When we get our grid all, you know, smart and Wi-Fi, smart is such a misnomer, but when we have everything attached to that, what happens when that gets taken over? What happens when somebody can, you know, interfere and take over that or disrupt it, and your electricity doesn't work all of a sudden? So there's a lot of implications besides your health, but your health is one of the big ones. Now, as this is rolling out, so it is already rolling out in several major cities, and Atlanta is one of them. In addition to the mini cell towers that are going all over the place, there are satellites being deployed. And within the next 2 years, it's estimated that, well, the target is to have 20,000 satellites, so that no matter where you are, you're going to be able to get internet. Now, it's very interesting. You can already use cable to get internet if you're in a remote area. And it's a convenience factor for the cable companies, the telecommunications industry as a whole. You know, it's a convenience factor for them to just have all this being broadcast everywhere. They don't have lines to maintain, they don't have lines to install, that kind of thing. So just like with genetically modified foods, you're going to hear a lot of false information coming forward as people begin to protest being, you know, electrified like this 24/7. Oh yes, no, don't worry, it's this, it's that. So yeah, Chelsea says you just talk about something and ads show up for it on your phone. I've actually had that experience myself, even when my phone, like I wasn't making a call, it's just sitting in my purse, and my son and I were talking about something super random, and then boom, it's showing up, not even just on my phone, but it showed up on my computer, and I thought, it's just a little bit too coincidental. So let me review, because we've got some new people. So we're talking about the 5G technology that's coming out, the wireless internet technology that's coming out. Not only is it stronger, but the frequency, the wavelength is very, very tiny. It can actually penetrate our skin, unlike the previous iterations, of Wi-Fi. And so it's going to be affecting all of us 24/7. And I see Pedro here from beautiful Puerto Rico. People that think they're in more remote areas, it's not going to work because they've got 20,000 satellites going up to broadcast this. So, in the past, you could escape to the mountains, or you could escape, and kind of get unplugged in different areas of the world. And it really is peaceful. When you go out to an area where you have no internet connection, no cell phone service, isn't it funny how that's like such a freak out for so many people now? But anyway, you just have this peace that comes over your body. It's an irritation that we're not even really conscious of having all the time. And young children, pregnant women, and the elderly are all affected more. Different constitutions are affected more. A lot of people are sensitively built. And when you're more sensitively built, it's going to impact you more. The people that we see now, the increase of fibromyalgia over the last couple of decades partially is because of the technology, the cell phone and Wi-Fi technology that's come out. Now, Pedro has posted a link for blueshield.com. A good friend has looked at that and recommended it. And let's see. Now, Joanne says, is 5G anything like getting x-ray at the dentist? No, but it is like going through that x-ray machine at the airport. I didn't realize that. I read that today. So it's very similar to that, but it's going all the time. And yes, it does impact the nervous system. So I've talked about these things before. I'm going to show you a couple of my things. Pedro mentioned his website, and I'm going to show you, this is a shield that you can use for your Wi-Fi router. So obviously I don't have it on now, or I can't stream, but when I'm not using my Wi-Fi, I'll put that over. It's called a Faraday cage, and you can make them for different objects. The company that I got that from also makes cages for your smart meters if you have been unable to detach it. And so I'm going to list the website, smartmeterguard.com. I'll list it in the comments. You can go to that website, and they have a variety of products to help and shield you. And then the other one I love, I have it always here in my office. This is an earthing mat. And I have now had 2 people that have shown remarkable improvement on a neurological test that I run in the office that measures heart rate variability. Now, I've had 2 people who that's the only change we made, is that they used earthing products regularly, and we saw dramatic differences on their neurological test, on their heart rate variability. So it's come to the point that we're gonna shield ourselves as best we can, but with 5G, it's going to drive driverless cars. It's going to, handle all the infrastructure of wireless devices that we have, not to mention our phones, and so it's going to be very difficult to completely shield yourself. There are personal devices that you can wear, pendants, things like that. They're based on different types of technology. And gosh, about a year ago when I first started hearing about 5G, and I thought, okay, I got to figure out how to protect everybody, from this, I just started ordering different ones to try them out. And what I learned is that there are a few basic types you can get. One is holographic. And I'm going to give you another website that I bought a device called a Radiant Room. It's a holographic device. It's just a little disc. I'm sorry, it's at my office. I don't have it right here. But it's a little disc, and it will handle a 400 square foot area. And it doesn't block the bad radiation, but what it does is it changes the frequencies that are unhealthy to our bodies into more earth central frequencies that are healthier for our bodies. And so that website is safespaceprotection.com, and there's the link to them. So some of these like individual necklaces that you can wear have holographic technology on them. Some of them are made from a type of rock that helps to absorb the bad energy. And then some of them have twisted metal, almost like I used to see, you know, back in the day for protecting yourself from bad energies. A dowser that I knew used to make these really cool devices. He called them bones, but they were two PVC pipes about like this, and in one it was filled with all different minerals, and the other was filled with a coiled up wire, and you would crisscross these PVC pipes in your bedroom, and it would give you an area of a certain distance that the unhealthy energies would not impinge and kind of protect you. So there are some of them that have that, both the pendants that you can wear or devices for your room. So what I learned when I was testing these on myself and on other people is that some of them were really great and some of them didn't really do a great job. So you may have to get a couple and check them out and just see what works well for you. The Radiant Room, though, I have a story on that one. I have a woman, she's not on here right now, but I know she'll watch the replay. She's the most electromagnetically sensitive person I've ever worked with in practice. I mean, it is crazy. I felt so sorry for her the first time I met her because she couldn't even live in the world. You know, she had to go way out into the country to even exist. And she's much healthier now, but she's still very much affected by these. And in my office, I have a regular plug-in landline phone, but it has, you know, a digital display. So it's still, you know, pretty energetic. And there was a day when I had to have my cell phone handy to, you know, because I was expecting an important call, and had it sitting on my desk, and I could hear like every once in a while a little buzz, like the two phones were interacting together, and there was some kind of energy disturbance coming between them. And so I moved the phone a little bit and I didn't hear the noise anymore, and I thought, okay, good. Well, one day this woman came in while the phone was sitting on my desk, and she just stopped in her tracks and she was like, what is that? I can't come in here, or words to that effect. And she's looking around because she's really sensitive at feeling these, and she saw my phone sitting there by that other phone, and she said, I think that's where it's coming from. Move that phone. I moved my phone, and she said, okay, I can handle this now. Well, when I bought the Radiant Room, I decided to test it on her. And whenever I saw that she was on the schedule, I put my cell phone there on my desk by the landline on purpose, but I had the Radiant Room in my office. And when she walked in, she had learned to look. Did Deb put her cell phone on the desk again? She learned to look, and she looked and she saw it. And then she stopped again because she wasn't feeling the disturbance. And she said, what's going on? I don't feel that. And that's how I knew the Radiant Room was a keeper. So you guys, you can look at scientific data, and there's plenty of it. I'm going to post a couple of links for you guys to look at. One of them, I think is this one. Nope. Okay. One of them, here it is going to give you research, legitimate, independent research on 5G and the links to the actual research. So you can look for yourself and see the research that's been done on human health. There's another site I'm going to give you that has lots and lots more data about what's being done with the technology. I couldn't believe this, but it's true. There's actually a few companies who are implanting these little chips in their employees just like you put in your dog, you know, in case he gets lost, you can find him. Supposedly they're not tracking their employees with it, but their employees are going to be able to, with this chip implanted, do things like quickly order lunch, or, you know, do technological things without having to pull out their phone. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it was creepy. And this has been happening for a few years now. What is going to happen when we have all this technology everywhere, and our privacy is disturbed? Now, they're not forcing their employees to get these chips. The employees are getting it because it's cool, it's new. You know, I hate it. I'm trying to decide whether to call out somebody in my family. I'm going to leave them anonymous here. But I have a family member who just thinks everything wireless is the coolest thing ever. And there's all the things are wireless in their home. And I go over there and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't spend the night here because I can't if I turn off the Wi-Fi, nothing in the house works. You can't adjust the thermostat, you know, all of the stuff won't work. So anyway, it's being presented, as will 5G be. It all gets presented as this great, cool new technology. Look how much faster it's going to be. Look how much more it can do. Look how you can take your cell phone and remotely control the things in your home, you know, all those kinds of things. But there's a price to be paid, you know, for that. So I'm going to give you another website that I'm going to warn you in advance. This one is tough to look at. There's so many things that are happening as a result of this in different realms that you may not have thought about. So if you can handle it, here's another one. And then the final thing I want to bring up as far as a detriment is what's happening to people socially. I've streamed in the past about how a lot of social media and games and different things that you do with your phone or your computer are specifically designed to be addicting. You want to check, you want to see, did anybody comment on this? Did anybody say anything about this? And it's gotten people less, Mitch says, amazing, only potato chips for me. Yeah, baby, no chips in my body, me either. But anyway, the social aspect is crazy. I know you guys have been to a restaurant before where you'll have 3 or 4 people sitting around at a table. Everybody's on their phone. Nobody's talking to each other. I see it in my waiting room. It used to be there wasn't anything to do, and people would just talk to each other if they were waiting there a few minutes, or talk to Elizabeth at the front desk. It was a more social thing. And then the other thing that disturbs me is all the virtual reality thing. Like, we're getting people more and more living in an electronic world instead of a real world, when what's going on your phone is more important than what's going on in front of you or right next to you. That's a problem. And, you know, if you look at religions and, you know, religious philosophies, spiritual philosophies through the ages, they all talk about how being present, being in the present moment is important, is spiritual. So it's sort of the more disconnected we get on every level, the worse it is for our bodies and our spirits. All right, so let's finish with the good news. I want to tell you some more things you can do to protect yourself. Okay, we talked about earthing. I believe I gave the website for earthing. No, I did not. I will type that in now. But earthing is actually one of my favorites. And you can buy a sheet that goes on your bed. You can buy a half sheet that goes on your bed, so you don't even have to think about it. As I mentioned, I have my little mat here that I use in my office if I'm going to be on the computer, or, you know, even when I'm not using electronics, just to let some of the jazzed up energy, you know, come out of my body. So let me give you the earthing website. Okay, there we go. And then, let me not miss anything. Oh, shore yourself up. Because here's the way it goes. You can have sensitivity because of your constitution, which is just the way you're built. You know, some people are just built very sensitively and others are built more ruggedly. It still affects everybody the same. It's still bad, but the sensitive people are going to feel it more and have more immediate noticeable health problems from it. But then there's a sensitivity that's different than constitution. It's a vulnerability factor. And so that's where your lifestyle habits come in. I want to help you to understand the things to do to shore you up there. First of all, gotta eat clean, gotta eat organic as much as humanly possible. Ditch all the foods that stimulate and jazz your nervous system, like fast food, processed food. They're loaded with MSG derivatives, some of them artificial sweeteners. These things all just rev us up. We're revved up enough already. We don't need any help with that. So eat clean, eat organic, get your sleep. And if you have trouble sleeping, you can message me. I can help you with that. But even the earthing, you know, my most recent client who bought the earthing sheet for her bed, I mean, we measured the results with her and she could feel it. And the people at her husband's work actually commented, without knowing what she had done, commented how he was so much more relaxed lately. It was really funny. So anyway, those kinds of things are really good, but you want to get your sleep, you want to eat good food. Your vitamin D should be at the level of 60 to 80 on a blood test. That is also for neurological health. It also helps you prevent all kinds of illnesses, including cancer. And then you want your vitamin B12 to be at the upper end of the normal range. All of that is to protect your nerves, because remember, that's where the 5G technology is going to impact people the most, is with their nervous system. And then finally, exercise is super important, and just getting outside in nature and hanging out with friends. Be social. Unplug. Not that you can never use your computer and those kinds of things, but it has to be counterbalanced with the other types of influence. You guys, look at the rates of anxiety in our world today. As a practitioner, you know, doing naturopathy since 1990, but I was in the health club industry before that since 1976, if you can believe it. And I see that anxiety up, all these neurological conditions. Restless leg syndrome, you never used to hear about that. Now tons of people have it. And it's just because we're jazzing our nervous system so much. It allows viruses, latent viruses in your body to express. I had a client recently ask me to stream about HPV. You know, how can we work on preventing HPV? Well, de-electrifying yourself is a really good way to protect against all viruses. So everything I've talked about here will help you on a number of levels. And it's already gotten more difficult for me over these years to get people healthy. Back in 1990, a couple of homeopathics, moved the TV away from the bed at night. Most people got well very, very quickly. Now in 2019, when I'm filming this, it takes extraordinary measures to get people healthy, because our food is deteriorated, our environment is deteriorated, and all of these impacts on our nervous system have happened. But I want to leave you with a positive note, because it is very true that I've also seen, even though it takes more effort these days, it can be done if people are willing to take the steps to clean up their environment, clean up their habits, and, you know, take some remedies and so forth to help them. Their bodies are just ready to heal. Your body, you give yourself half a tool and you will heal. So you guys, I really appreciate you joining. Please share this out because people need to know about this. I mean, one of my good friends who was on here, I texted her. I said, hey, I'm streaming about 5G. She said, what is 5G? And this is somebody who's even more aware than the average person is. So just think about these other people that you know. All they're hearing is how great their internet's going to be and how many fancy devices they can get in their home, their smart devices. And so they need to know the rest of the story. All right, so I love you guys. I'm really happy you're here, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday if you can be there. All right, have a good week. Bye.